Oh my god, who guess whose birthday it is? Say hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
So, it's Charlie's birthday, and we decided to invite our friends over for a taco party. When you have to please a bunch of picky eaters, there's nothing like a Tex-Mex taco bar to satisfy all comers. Starting with a spicy homemade taco seasoning blend, I'll show you two versions of taco filling, plant-based and traditional beef. Then I'll make my easy Spanish rice, quick refried black beans, and what event can't be improved by the addition of nacho cheese. Finally, no birthday celebration would be complete without cake, so I'll show you my super moist chili chocolate cupcakes. I'm Josh Abrams, and I'll show you how the sausage is made. Rewinding to yesterday, I started getting ready for the party by making my extra moist, dense, and decadent chili chocolate cupcakes. These chili chocolate cupcakes are super simple, but they have a nice little kick to them, and I think your guests will really enjoy them. We're going to start with 2 Ancho Chilies, and we're going to remove the stems. Peel them open, remove your seeds, tear them into rough 1-inch pieces, and put them in a dry saute pan. Now, these are Ancho Chilies. Ancho Chilies are smoked and dried poblano chilies. They're not super spicy, but they do have a nice little back heat to them. They are very smoky. They have a very raisiny flavor to them, and they're going to work really well with the chocolate. As well, we also have some whole dried cinnamon sticks. I have 2 of them here. That comes out to about 1.5 teaspoons of dried ground cinnamon. If you don't happen to have whole cinnamon sticks, I'm going to put these in with the chili peppers here, and that's going to help intensify the flavor of the cinnamon as well. So we're just going to dry all of this over medium heat until it starts to smell nice. You'll use your nose here. You want that. You'll start to smell both the chili pepper and the cinnamon very distinctly, and that's when you know those are good to go. So now we're going to take our freshly toasted chilies and cinnamon and grind it in a spice grinder. This is just a regular old coffee grinder that I use specifically for spices. It's a single blade grinder. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy. You just want to put everything in there. Screw it on. Dark red powder that we're going to add to our flour here with the rest of our dry ingredients. Got salt going in. About 1 teaspoon of salt, 1.25 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.25 teaspoons of baking soda, and we're going to grab a small whisk and whisk that together thoroughly and set it aside. Next, we're going to start with our wet ingredients. We're going to take a cup of brown sugar. Make sure you break that up a little bit. It's been sitting for a minute. 2/3 of a cup of white sugar, 3 whole eggs, crack your eggs on a flat surface so you don't get shell inside, and sugar together until it's lightened and about doubled in volume. Now we're going to add our flavorings, which is a teaspoon of vanilla. We have a special ingredient here, borrowing from a long Southern tradition of a chocolate mayonnaise cake. We're going to add a whole cup of the best store-bought mayonnaise you can buy. And we're going to go ahead and mix that in thoroughly. I know mayonnaise and cake sounds really weird, but you gotta trust me on this. It's gonna make a very rich, very moist, dense cake. It's not too dense and not too sweet. So again, we just mix that through. I'm gonna switch to a large spoon now for the rest of this, or rather spatula. Now that all of our wet ingredients are thoroughly mixed together, and we're going to alternate 1/3 dry, mix that in, get it mostly wet, then go for your about half of this 1 1/3 cup of brewed cold coffee. Go for another 1/3 of your dry ingredients here. Notice that I'm scraping the sides of the bowl down while I'm mixing. You don't want to over mix, but you also don't want to leave any lumps. So, got that second 1/3 fully incorporated. We're going to add the last half of our liquid. Stir that back through. And with our last 1/3 of dry ingredients. Again, we're just mixing until this is thoroughly incorporated. You don't want to over mix, just mix until you don't see any large lumps anymore. Now, I'm going to take 2 lined trays of cupcakes here. Cupcake tins. I like light colored trays. I think they more evenly bake your cupcakes. And that's important when you're trying to do this. So I'm going to take about 1/3 of a cup, maybe a little bit less. You're just going to fill these about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way full. The less distance you have to travel between the cake batter and your pan, the better. It means the fewer drips you're going to have. Second tray. Alright, so we've got all of our trays, both of our cupcakes trays filled, and we're going to put these in a 325-degree oven for 20 minutes. You want to take them out when a toothpick comes out mostly clean from ones that are near the center of your oven. After 20 minutes, you're going to want to check on your cupcakes. You want to check towards the inside and take a cupcake. pierce it, and it should come out mostly clean. So we're going to take these out and leave them to cool completely. And while we're doing that, we can make some ganache. For your ganache, we've got two simple ingredients here, just regular old dark chocolate. I use chocolate chips because I think they're easiest. And we're just going to lay out equal amounts. About 8 ounces of chocolate chips. And we're just going to put this in the microwave. And stirring every 30 seconds. Stir and back in the microwave. My microwave is a bit of a beast, so about a minute is generally all it takes. Definitely, if you notice your chocolate is beginning to melt, keep stirring until it doesn't seem to want to melt any further. Really trying to heat the chocolate as gently and as little as possible. Whisk that until it's nice and smooth. And now, for the easiest topping in the world, we take our cold cupcake and we swirl and pick up. Swirl the melted chocolate and pick up. This is significantly more chocolate than you actually need to make this recipe to cover the cupcakes. I know, but who's really going to complain about an extra bit of ganache lying around? Make truffles. Who cares? Your chocolate does start getting cold. Don't be afraid to stick it in the microwave for 5 or 10 seconds and stir it vigorously. And that's that. Just leave those to dry. And they will be ready to serve tomorrow. We're going to pack them up in boxes and totally cool.
This afternoon I started by making taco seasoning. It's really fabulous and the recipe makes enough for 2 batches. Since my household is split on whether or not to eat things with faces, we make a 1-pound batch with fresh ground beef and the other half with dry textured vegetable protein. I'll start by measuring out the spices and mixing them together. I have 4 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon smoked sweet paprika, 1/2 tablespoon cumin, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon kosher salt, 1 teaspoon Mexican oregano, and 1 tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper. And now for the weird bit. I'm going to take some old tortilla chips and crush them up in a bag, then mix that in with my spices to thicken the sauce for the taco filling. I'll set this aside as I make the 2 fillings. For the beef filling, I start by mixing a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of water together, then sprinkling the mixture over the ground beef in a bowl and mixing thoroughly with my hands. The salt seasons the beef, while the baking soda will help tenderize it, and the water helps everything work into the ground beef easily. I'm going to set that aside, and then for the veggie filling. I sweat half an onion and 1 whole green bell pepper over medium heat with butter, olive oil, and a bit of salt until the onion is translucent and the bell pepper is softened, about 5 minutes. I'm going to add 3 cloves of minced garlic and stir until the garlic is fragrant, about 30 seconds to 1 minute. Then I'll add half the taco seasoning and all of the dry TVP, stirring frequently until I can smell the spices. Next, I'll add the ground beef and cook, breaking up the meat with a wooden spoon until it's cooked through and an even golden brown. Finally, I'll add the stock concentrate and water. Turn the heat down to medium-low and allow it to simmer until most of the liquid is absorbed and the thickened sauce form, about 5 minutes. Remove to a heat-safe vessel, cover and keep warm in an oven until ready to serve.
We're going to go ahead and get started with the easy Spanish rice. It's really just a simple rice pilaf that I'm going to finish off in my rice cooker so that I know it finishes and stops perfectly and I don't have to worry about it. It will also then stay warm for the rest of the evening until I'm ready to put it on the buffet with the rest of the taco stuff. So we're going to start again with half of an onion. Take your onion in half. Now, see here that I have the root end on my palm end. I'm going to take the bloom end, which is the top, which is the end where your green stuff would shoot out. Peel that. Peel off this first layer, this first hard layer of skin. Not too difficult. Still got your root end intact, so you're going to take your knife, make a couple of horizontal cuts, then make some vertical cuts, not going through the end of the onion, almost all the way through, but not quite. And then you're just going to chop. Move on to our pepper. So the way I do that, I cut the top and the bottom off, peel out the ribs on the inside, cut that guy there, cut into strips, collect those strips into a bundle, keep your claw nice and tight, and run your knife through your strips. Start a medium skillet on medium heat with a good amount of olive oil. So we're going to fry half of our onion here. Along with that whole green pepper. Add a good amount of salt. A good amount of pepper. Your arm's tired, you're done. While that cooks away, about a half teaspoon of dried oregano. I'm using Mexican. I'm going to go ahead and quickly chop up this garlic. So I've got my peeled garlic here. I'm just going to smash it down with the flat side of my knife. Both those. And we'll just run our knives through it a few times until we feel like the pieces are small enough. Use our blade to help us. Use the back of the blade if you're trying to scrape things up onto it. Take a second to become fragrant. Then we're going to take our 1 cup of long grain rice. It hasn't been rinsed or anything. We're just going to dump it straight in with our veg. Let it get coated in the fat here. And it's going to turn, rather than it turning translucent, you'll see it's already translucent. It's going to turn opaque and start to toast. And that's a good thing. Again, because that adds flavor. It's also going to prevent the rice grains from clumping while it cooks. Also, while this rice is toasting, we're going to add some parsley and a little bit of red pepper flake. If you see here, we have our rice grains are starting to get nice and opaque. Some of them are starting to turn just a little bit brown. We're going to go ahead and turn off the heat and transfer this to the interior vessel of our rice cooker. To that, in the rice cooker, we're going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. This is a 10-ounce can. And also a cup of water. Gonna mix that together. Put the lid on it. And put it in your rice cooker. Set it. And it will turn itself off automatically and stay warm as long as you want to hold it there in the rice cooker. And that's all there is to it.
These refried black beans are super simple and satisfying. I sweat half an onion and a whole green bell pepper over medium heat in olive oil. Add Mexican oregano, cumin, red pepper flake, and black pepper. Then cook until fragrant and the onions are translucent, about 5 minutes. Next, I add the garlic and stir until the garlic's full aromatic potential is expressed, just 30 seconds or so. Then I add both cans of beans, liquid and all, and cook uncovered for about 10 to 15 minutes until the beans are tender and beginning to give off starch. Once the beans are tender, I use an immersion blender or a potato masher to partially blend the beans until thick. It's entirely optional, but I like to add a few dashes of hot sauce at the end for an extra kick. I'll keep this warm until ready to serve. Finally, I'll show you a quick nacho cheese sauce that will make every party better.
This is a really simple operation. We've got 5 ingredients. So I've got here 2 ounces of pasteurized processed cheese food loaf. This goes by a number of brand names. By the brand name. The brand name. You know which one I'm talking about. I'm just tearing this into small pieces so that it melts more quickly. To that, we're going to add a half cup of shredded sharp cheddar, a half cup of pre-shredded queso quesadilla, a cup of heavy cream, and approximately a quarter cup of pickled jalapenos with the juice. You do want to include the juice here. You don't have to include a lot, but you do want to include some. Again, just about a quarter cup here. Back. All of this and put it in the microwave. Microwave it on high in 30-second increments, stirring regularly until everything is melted. So once your cheeses are fully melted, and you'll be able to see that by just running your spoon through, and it'll be mostly cheesy and stringy. And what you can do then is you're going to take your immersion blender again. And that's it for homemade nacho cheese sauce.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us.